Our next guest actually knows how to play basketball really well, but he's known for football. He is an NFL Hall of Famer who transcends sports. Once played in the Super Bowl on a broken leg. Not afraid to speak his mind, but it comes from a place of passion, which we all can appreciate. He's a veteran of reality TV, an entrepreneur, an activist, and now he is a wine connoisseur. Got his own wine, 81 Wine. Here to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Terrell Owens, as known as T.O. What's up, T.O.? Good to see you, my man.
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. New wine venture, 81 Wine. This is awesome. I know you started your career basically in wine country in San Francisco, but how did this come about?
Just a mutual friend through one of my marketing reps. A mutual friend knew him. He asked me if I, had any desires to drink wine or any experience drinking wine. And as you alluded to, being drafted with the 90s and 96, I had no idea some years later that I would be having the opportunity, blessed by the late, great Mr. Tommy Lasorda, who obviously, whom before he passed a few months back, who gave his blessings to come about with this partnership. And so I've developed a palate throughout the pandemic over the last couple of years, had an opportunity to try some different wines. I think with us doing this show, obviously on a Black network, I wanted to really just try to delve off in this to really kind of educate Black people about drinking wines. Because when I grew up in the South, I knew nothing about wine. And then when I talk about 81 Wine, which was made in Paso Robles at the La Vigne Winery, most of the Cabernets, which mine is, they're known for being dry, bold, big, and not sweet. So when you think about sweet, relatively speaking, that's what 81 is composed and made of. When you talk about black ripe cherry, cinnamon stick aromas, plum preserves. When I
Preach.
tell people that it's sweet, when I tell people it's sweet, they think that they're going to be drinking grape juice. But relatively speaking, on the sweeter side of the Cabernets, that's what 81 is.
Yeah. Now, see, Tio, this is what we love about you because you did not become one of the greatest, if not the greatest, receivers in the game by just showing up and depending on your physical abilities. You are a student. And it sounds like you've done exactly that when it comes to wine. So educated about it. I want to know, though, about the man behind you. I see him there, that special connection. You and Kobe Bryant and wine. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. Before Kobe passed, obviously got a chance to know him throughout the course of his career. My website, 81vino.com, that's where you can purchase the wine. It's online only unless you're in the California states. We have a few stores there. But Kobe had a love and affection for wine as well. He had maybe one or two collection of his shoes called the Vino Collection. So the 81 Vino was somewhat of a nod toward Kobe and our friendship and what he's done throughout this course of his career. Just as you just alluded to, just delving off into it, trying to become knowledgeable about the process of winemaking. That's what I've done with this whole partnership with the Lasorda family.
Yeah, and 81, of course, is your former number in the NFL. 81, the number of points that Kobe dropped on Toronto, a career high for him. And of course, he used to call himself Vino
Absolutely.
because he used to age like fine wine. But I want to talk. Right now, you got a cab, you got a Cabernet Sauvignon. Any plans to expand it beyond the reds, maybe into some whites?
Absolutely. We're definitely looking forward to doing that. This Cabernet has done well, better than expected. And so we're looking to obviously extend this line, hopefully doing a Chardonnay. We have the summer coming up, and possibly want to, maybe in addition to the Cabernet blend that I have, possibly add a Rosé into the mix as well. So again, it's been a busy time, but again, I think with everybody during the pandemic, I think they've had some time to kind of branch off and do some different things. And so I'm very fortunate for the pandemic, just for that reason, that it's given me an opportunity to partner with the Lasorda family and come up with my own wine.
Now, I know it pairs well with some fine meats, but does it pair well with that popcorn? You know, you always talking about that popcorn.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. You have to get your popcorn ready and get your wine ready. I'm trying to do something like every Wednesday. Everybody has this thing of Wine Wednesdays. I'm always posting about it.
Yeah.
So definitely, it not only pairs with fish and different meats or what have you, but definitely I'm going to have, at some point, have a wine and popcorn night. So yeah, definitely get your wine and your popcorn ready.
Yeah, you might want to give a master class on this just to hear you talk about it. You grew up, as you said, in the South, not knowing much about it. Tio, this can be intimidating, particularly black and brown people. You know, a lot of my girlfriends, if it is not Moscato, they don't know anything else going on. So how can you educate us and bring us along? Because this is a passion for you.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I never knew anything about wine. I mean, in the South, I
Hmm.
mean, black people are known for drinking hard liquor. And so just to understand the tasting notes, understand the little bit of the language about wines, and understanding that if someone speaks of a Cabernet being on the sweeter side, like I said earlier, it's not going to taste like grape juice, but depending on the ingredients, I was very instrumental in the ingredients of 81. They asked me a series of questions about what I liked and what I disliked about the wines that I've tasted, and so that's how we came up with this with mine. It's the feedback has been tremendous. When they've tasted it, everybody said it's really smooth. They can taste the fruits and things, basically from the feedback that I had given the winemaker Terry Colton, who is also the winemaker for Tommy Lasorda wines as well.
Yeah, it's very
Tio, I
intoxicating to
grew
hear
up.
you just take us through it.
Yeah,
This is, I'm like
no
lost
pun
in this,
intended.
but go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead.
She said it's intoxicating taking you through it. I grew up in
I love
Alabama as
it.
well, and yeah, how I was introduced to wines back in the day was Mad Dog 2020, in Thunderbird, you know, that type of
Right.
wine right there. You know, so when you first had your first glass of good wine, what was your reaction? When was it, and what was your reaction?
Well, my first, like I said, I wouldn't have been able to tell you whether it was good or bad, because that's how oblivious, how clueless I was to the wine space and the taste at all. So I only knew it for being bitter, kind of dry, pasty, and so just to basically be a part of the process of the tasting notes and the ingredients, I remember that very vividly, and I told them upon this process, I'm like, yo, I don't want to be involved in something that doesn't taste well, taste good. Aesthetically, the bottle looks great, but what's in the bottles is what's really going to sell it. So that's part of it. And so I basically was like, I don't want it to be dry, because I remember that's the experience that I had. And so, as I said earlier, when you talk about a Cabernet, which is known for being big, bold, and dry, those are some of the characteristics that describe the wine, not myself. But when you think of, relatively speaking, Cabernets are known for being dry, and some of your drier wines they're called tannins, and so I try to eliminate the dry element of the wines and try to bring a little sweetness into it. And that's when you drink my wine and you taste it, and especially if you're a wine drinker, you'll smell the fruit, and you'll start to taste. Really, the dark chocolate and the spicy toasted oak, and part of the oaky taste is part of the when the barrels of when the wine is barreled for about 18 months, and so there's European oak and American oak, and so that's where you get that toasty, that oaky taste from.
This man has done
Why,
his homework.
you know,
He
and
know what he's talking
Tio,
about.
you really have,
Yeah.
and I hope you're so far a favorite guest. I want you to stick around if you can. Will you do that? Because you know you're complex, you're complicated, you're accomplished, you're the most prolific marketer. We saw that throughout your NFL career. Can you do it with wine? I think you're gonna make $1 billion.